Hello, everyone. I have a very special guest for my podcast. His name is Nejib Zaafrani. He is the former chairman and MD of Shell in Abu Dhabi, and he was the first Secretary General and CEO of the Supreme Council of Dubai of Energy. And currently, he is the president and chairman of the Tunisian Talent United, and he is also active now as a board member and an executive director and an independent advisor. Nejib, welcome.
Thank you, Simon. First of all, good morning to you and to our listeners and viewers. And I really appreciate the invitation to interact and share my life journey.
Yeah, you had a fantastic journey and it's still ongoing. For the viewers, they will find out when they go through this podcast. Just a little bit about yourself. Can you share a little bit like who's Nejib? How has your journey been so far? Where are you right now?
Okay. Well, I'm Nejib Zaafrani. I have French education. I studied in Paris. I have a master's degree in physics and a petroleum engineering degree from NSPM, Institut Français du Pétrole, in 1978. So also I had the privilege to be exposed to the US best practices in the oil and gas industry based in Oklahoma University. And I was sponsored by the US AIDS in 1979. My international professional journey is about 45 years. I had the privilege to work for one of the biggest, it was at that time when I joined in 1980, the biggest oil and gas company in the world, the Royal Dutch Shell, and for which I spent about 30 years of my career going around the world. Also, I had the privilege and the honor and the trust of the Dubai government to serve at the highest level as the first Secretary General, as you said, and CAO. So, it was really something that I felt privileged to have those opportunities in my journey and contribute at the end of the day to a better world within small contribution. Now, I'm Tunisian by birth, I'm a Canadian by adoption, and I'm the citizen of the world. And why I say that? Because also I was privileged with my family, first with my wife, where we lived in Europe, in North Africa, in North America, in Asia, and in the Middle East. And we have decided to settle in the UAE. Actually, the first time came to the UAE to live here is in 1996. And since then, we are still resident and guests of the United Arab Emirates. And we enjoy life here. Though we have our children, my daughter is in Canada, in Montreal, living with, have children. My son is living in Switzerland. And I'm a very happy grandfather of four grandchildren.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and you have lovely children, and they're doing well in other parts of the world. And you have been, like you said, you have worked in so many countries and places, and you have met so many different people. Who do you look up to? Who do you aspire that you have met in your life, or that you have read about, or somebody that has crossed your path?
Well, you know, His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, God bless his soul, is my role model. I had the privilege as Deputy Managing Director of Shell Abu Dhabi from 1996 to 2001, under the country leadership of His Highness Sheikh Zayed as President of the UAE and ruler of Abu Dhabi. He was an inspiring visionary statesman and a wise leader who loved his people and his country with exceptional human qualities and values that goes beyond the UAE. I can talk for hours on the inspiring world leader of the 20th century, His Highness Sheikh Zayed. In view of the limited time, I would like to recommend to our viewers and listeners to read the book published in 2004 titled United with United Strength, His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, the Leader and the Nation. It will give them an insight of the UAE success on how turning a vision or a dream into reality. The achievement is phenomenal in transforming the UAE. Actually, the UAE has since become a constructive force within the region and beyond, exemplifying the principle of national unity, regional solidarity, international cooperation, and religious tolerance. That's what makes His Highness Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul, my role model.
That's beautiful, and you have met him in person as well.
Actually, I have not had the chance to meet His Highness Sheikh Zayed, although I attended the National Day when he came back from United States. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was the 2nd of December, 1996. But however, I had the honor and the privilege to have a handshake with the late Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed, former president of the UAE and ruler of Abu Dhabi, at the National Day in 2007. Equally, I had the great privilege as well to meet His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed in first time in 2007 as the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, and currently, as everybody knows, is our great president and ruler of Abu Dhabi.
So how was that because you have met world leaders and leaders of corporate companies and from countries in your life. How do you behave when you meet somebody that you look up to, or somebody that you aspire, or you see that people have such a strong drive and vision? How do you approach them? Are you yourself, or do you just let it go? How is it?
You know, I met several leaders around the world, and some of them are kings today, presidents, and so on. Some, they have left us. That's part of life. Life has a beginning and the end. But of course, leaders are different. But at the end of the day, they are true leaders, and they have huge responsibility on their shoulder, who are leading a nation, whether presidents or, kings or whatever. They have to continuously inspire and create hope to their people. when I engage with them, I'm myself. I don't change. I don't. Of course, I engage with high respect, and I respect the protocol and what have you, but never change. You know, it's all about your values, and that's how you connect with people, whether top leadership or a doormat. They are all human. So you connect with them through your values. And values for me is, integrity. And I repeat, integrity. Integrity is very important, which is something we are missing nowadays. It's not as strong as used to be in the past. But also, honesty and respect for people. So those are the values which we have to carry during, at least the value under which I live day by day, and I make sure that I'm faithful to those values.
Yes, and these are beautiful values, and sometimes you see that things play out in front of the camera. Like, I will give you an example. There was in the camera caused an interaction between Prime Minister Trudeau from Canada and then President of China Xi. That he came up to him and he said that we had a conversation and it got leaked, and I thought it was private. And he spoke about that he would love to have these conversations in the future private. But he was asking for integrity. He was asking for, protocol to be respected. But I think in the daily life, everybody wants to be respected and just be treated as a human being.
Yeah, but in the world we are living with the media, and they want to know everything. They don't sometimes have boundaries, that there is confidential discussions between two leaders should remain between the two leaders. But unfortunately, in the Western world, media, interact and sometimes push the boundaries to where you have to debate, this is right or wrong?
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, we have to do our best, but doesn't mean that we are perfect as leaders. We all make mistakes. There is but it's not about the mistakes. When we make a mistake, we have to recognize it and say, yes, perfection is for God. So we make mistakes, and people forgive you, when you come forward and apologize, because it happens. Nobody is perfect. So I don't claim that I'm perfect, far to be. But I have the courage to come forward and say, I'm sorry, I thought it was the right thing, but you enlightened me and I realized I made a mistake. So I have to be, when you have a lot of experience and you have dealt with different cultures around the world, and you have a genuine interest in people, and you understand people, there is no worry to come forward and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. That's part of honesty,
Yeah. I personally, I found it hard to say sorry and apologize in my earlier parts of my life, but more and more, I find it easier to do. But I don't want to do it just for the sake of it. It needs to be genuine as well. When you apologize or say sorry to somebody, let it be that you show them that you really regret it, and then you can move on, right? Relationships are up and down.
There is things I went through at highest level, and I stepped in and I said, we cannot do this. I don't want to be specific in it. It's confidential. But, I looked at the body language. It was a board meeting, and everybody was staring at me. So I realized I did something wrong. So immediately I told the board members, this is what went through my neurons, and that's why, and I explained why I said we cannot do it. And then the chairman of the board asked me, so Nejib, what do you propose? And I said, look, this is the proposal, how to go forward, and this is what is done on a global level. If you have a new policy, new regulations, and so on, give time to people to understand first, and then you implement it the beginning of the year, the coming year. And I think we were that year in October. But yeah, when I went out, some people, member of the board, told me, we never say no, we cannot do it. I said, yeah, I realized that. Yeah. But it was appreciated that while I step in, and probably I wasn't right on the protocol side, but it was appreciated that I had the courage not to say yes, but to say, because it turned up to be extremely sensitive issue on the timing of the announcement.
Yeah, I think sometimes people get caught up too much in following the protocol. A protocol is a protocol, and it's very important that you respect that. It's just that I think that if you are somewhere, let's say in a board, and you have a good insight, that's why you are there, to share it.
Yeah.
And that's in the end going to be appreciated if it's with the best intention to improve things. And I think that's what you illustrated in that example. And then people will respect you even more.
Yes,
because
that's right. Yeah. But when, let's call it a mistake. I mean, because we live in a world of perception. It's not about right or wrong. But through interactions, you learn and you observe and you say, okay, how I can do it better next time, whether from a protocol point of view or whether from a sensitivity point of view, you keep learning, to do better. So that's what I encourage the young generation, don't give up, if you make a mistake, don't say that's it, it's a disaster. No, you learn from it. And don't do it second time the same mistake, make other mistakes. And if you want to avoid making mistakes that others have done, interact with senior people, ask them questions, share with them their experience, let them tell you what are the bridges they cross and what were the challenges to cross the bridges, so you can cross other bridges and you don't have challenges crossing the bridges that they have crossed themselves. So, of course, the word change, people say, yeah, you are a leader of the 20th century, beginning of the 21st. But the word have changed, of course. We have to adapt, we have to adjust, but the fundamentals don't change. We are all human, we are all the same in terms of feelings. We have same feelings, wherever we are from the planet. So there is common grounds. I mean, we cannot deviate from that. And at the end, there is differences the way we conduct our life day to day. And that's where, it's good to ask seniors. They will be always willing to share, because at the end of the day, to create a better future, it's them, the new generation, that they have the duty to do better than their parents and their seniors, to create a better environment for the generations to come.
And you dedicate a lot of your time now helping talent to develop and to grow. And you even co-founded a foundation for that. How close is this to your heart?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm a happy 70-year-old man, and I still have passion for the future, wherever I have still to live. First is to invest in the education and the know-how of my grandchildren to really do better than their parents and their grandparents and contribute to a better world, to humanity, make a small contribution.
Yeah.
So that's really, I'm very passionate about that. And also giving back to society at large, wherever I am. The NGO that you're referring to, I'm said in the beginning, I'm a Tunisian by birth.
Yeah.
I have worked in Tunisia for a couple of years for the National Oil Company as young engineer prior to join Shell in 1980. So I always felt I have to give back to the country where my roots are. And made several initiatives, but then after reflection with Tunisian leaders around the world who contribute to a better world around the globe, we said, look, if we want to invest in Tunisia, the best investment is in the next generation of talents and potential leaders, and that we can convey to them whatever support they need, whatever experience, and then whatever coaching, mentoring, and also stay up to the latest developments in terms of technology, in terms of environment, and what have you, all aspects. So we got together in May 9, 2016 in Tunisia in a hotel about 80 kilometers from the capital, and about 20 top leaders, men and women, of Tunisians coming from all over the world, from North America, from Europe, from the Middle East, actually even from the UAE, and from Tunis as well. There's great leaders, some of them not visible. So, and those 20 represented the whole nation. So it's not just a group of, from the capital and neighboring. No, you can put those 20 on the map and they cover the whole nation from north, south, east, west. And the intention was to create a platform that, because Tunisian talents exist, what doesn't exist is they don't know each other. They're spread around the world like birds. The other thing, they don't have a platform to come together and get to know each other. And the most important thing is to get united around a common values, a common vision and mission, and with the aim to give back for the seniors and for the juniors and mature professional to receive. So that's the principle. And that what we have created, actually, this association, which is 6 years old, running into its 7th year, for the viewers and the listeners who are interested in Tunisia, whether Tunisians or non-Tunisians, interested in the country and their talents, they can go and find out more about the association through their website, which is www.ttu.ngo. So, because at the end of the day, despite the challenges in the country, the whole world knows what Tunisia is going through. But, Tunisia is a country, goes to the Caspian civilization 5,000-6,000 years, even before the Phoenicians and so on. So what's 50 years or 30 years or 20 years in millenniums, So you have to be visionary in life. You have to project in the long term and prepare the base for the next generation. So we try to create hope and optimisms in our young generation, that people care, people can give, and can be there to shoulder them and, stimulate and boost, their ambition and their innovation. We have a lot of innovative. Actually, you know, Simon, last Friday I went to one of the biggest consultant company in the world, which I was amazed. I knew the big four, but this one probably as big or bigger than the big four. You know, they focus on sustainability of public-private companies. They have about, 1,000 consultants around the world, brilliant minds and so on. And I was amazed. They introduced the regional director of that consultancy company is a Tunisian. Mm-hmm. I was brought to their offices by one member of our association. And then he takes me around, and introduced me to another two young, brilliant, a woman and a man working in that international community. So you feel good about it in terms of saying, look, I don't worry about the country. Yeah. Yes, I'm concerned right now what's going on and so on, but we are capable to turn it around and make Tunisia, brighter again. And Tunisia, look, is not a discovery for people. It's a very strategic country on the Mediterranean basin, could be a bridge between the European continent and the African continent, because the center of gravity of growth of the planet is moving from Asia to the African continent. And as everybody knows, the whole world is interested in Africa. Actually, when I flew to South Africa in 2019 for Christmas and New Year, and I said, why it took that long? It looks on the map. But then I realized that the map that the world see, Africa is basically shrinked in size. So then, the advantage that the country has and will remain can be a tremendous hub, not only between Europe and the African continent, but also with the Middle East. Given the cultural, the historical background, we have all. I mean, they say we are Arabs. Yes, it's part of our, but we're not just Arabs. We are, Amazighi, what they call the Roman Berbers. I don't use that word. The barbares. Because the Romans, whoever wasn't under the Roman power, they were called barbarians. But the real people of North Africa are Amazigh. And then you see how many civilizations went through the country. It's amazing. So that is in the DNA of the Tunisians. And they have a tendency, there is common ground probably with the Lebanese, because the Phoenicians and Reine Didon, when she came 3,000 years to Tunisia, so there is common ground between those people. They excel when they go overseas. I mean, we have 2.5 million Tunisians overseas around the world. Most of them are in Europe, 2 million, I think, and half a million spread around the planet. I think Imam mentioned about Lebanese people. There are between 4 to 14 million people living abroad away from their home country. So yeah, it's very important that's why vision is important, that you look too far. If you don't have vision, you can be good, but a good troubleshooter, like trader. They're very good. Trader are very good troubleshooter. They work on 24 hours around the clock. And it's rare, I can be wrong, based on my experience, I worked with different people, they don't tend to be visionaries in general. I'm not, because the nature of their work, they're very focused on 24. You need people who have time to reflect and look beyond the imagination. So that's why, we thought creating this TTU, Tunisian Talent United Association, is to create hope and prepare the next generation of, talents and potential leaders to be able to make things better for the country. And this applies for any country. I mean, we've done it, but it's... So people, they say, this is... because it is not specific in one area. I mean, it's not just energy. It's all sectors. So we have eminent finance people, even former ministers who have been, whether in finance, in energy. We've got also in the co-founder people from the medical world, from the consultancy world, from the innovators in terms of IT and digital. In the digital world, we have quite a number, particularly the young generation. They are very, very active in that domain. Cybersecurity, on the Bitcoins and the chain and, the Web3 and the metaverse. And I have to catch up with all this. It's all new to me. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. And it's so honorable that you have been able and are still contributing to that, and that you can be part of, like you said, hope and a better tomorrow. And I guess in your journey, there has been ups and downs as well, just like that's life. So what has been some of your biggest challenges that you have faced in your life or in your career that you would like to share?
Yeah, look, I had countless challenges during my life journey and my career. And most of them had successful outcomes.
Yeah.
But also it's good to talk about things despite all the challenge and despite what has been done. It didn't work. So I will share with you two. One, it has to do with the business.
Okay.
It didn't work out. And one has to do with me as a person, which, thanks God, it did work out. But it was a very, very big challenge. So the one which I recall is a bidding in 2007 on one of the biggest business opportunity, I think of the size of $14 billion. And it was one of the biggest in my whole entire career. So you can imagine in that investment, it was one of the major challenging and strategic gas field development in the region. So despite all the effort invested, despite the fact I didn't leave a stone unturned on all aspects, whether engaging with the top leadership of the country, whether really being very innovative and proposing that no competitor can, because when I operated in Abu Dhabi on behalf of Shell, I was with the big league of the ExxonMobil of this world, the BP, the Total, and of course the small one, Partex. So I know the strength of our partners. They were partners and competitors. That's also a quite special opportunity to develop skills, how you interact with your partner for common interest, and then also for respecting the space where you compete. So you have to be very clear and in the playground. So to come back to the opportunity, honestly, everything internally within the company, I pushed the boundaries to make proposal never been done in the world for that one. But the award of that big bid went to another company. But that other company, for 4 years, they tried to renegotiate the terms under which they realized there is no way they will make a penny out of the project with the terms they won the deal. And I was certain they will not last for long. Anyway, I moved on from Shell 4 years later. That was 2007, the deal. 4 years later, that company left the country and cut their loss short at $750 million.
Wow.
But, you know, yeah, it's something I learned a lot from it, is never, never, ever underestimate your competitor, even if he's a beggar sitting on the wall side. Because competitors, there's different style of competitors. And some competitors, they may cross the boundary of business ethic, which some other company, whatever happened, they will never, ever do it, because they're led by strong leaders and visionary. Because if you do it, it will bite you in the shorter, longer term. I remember one of my leaders, Sir Mark Moody Stewart, was saying on CNN, you know, we will stick to our business principle, and if we have to lose the deal, be it, we lose, but we will not compromise our business principles. And that's the culture I have grown with my family and with the company I spent most of my life. And I think this is important. So that was the learning from that. But I have no regret, you know, because as I said, we have done our best, and I'm sure the sovereign country realized that. The other thing is personal. So in 2021, I was faced with a terrible disease, and I had to fight the disease by staying positive, mentally very active, even chairing webinars. You know, 2021, still the corona effect was around. But thanks God, you know, I was diagnosed 2 years in a row that I recovered 100%. So that was also a big learning journey in that period, how to manage, you know, getting beyond the challenge, getting a shock at 350 volts when your doctor tells you that after doing the test that you are diagnostic with a terrible disease. So thanks God, I had been operated in the best hospital, not only in the UAE, I think around the world, but it exists here in the UAE, and best surgeon, and all has done. And I recovered through basically the expertise and the know-how available here in the UAE. And I was very impressed. People had some reservation, but I had always trust in what it's done here. I mean, I think the UAE is the United Nations, is a role model for the world, how humanity coexists together and make a beautiful living environment. That's in a nutshell where, that's why I love to be here.
Yes, and thankfully you recovered, and it's not easy to go through personal health issues, but you look very well right now, and you recovered, and it must not have been easy, like you said initially, to go through that process.
But it's good to share with people, you know, people sometimes, you know, I'm different. I'm very open and I want to share because, you know, and the reason I mentioned this, because I want whoever, God forbid, is faced with this type of disease, basically I'm talking about cancer, okay?
Yeah.
should not give up, should fight it, should stay positive, have a high spirit, you know. Even if the energy goes to zero, the brain will not go to zero. The brain will stay. So the brain will fight the disease if you keep a positive spirit and you stay active. Even if you cannot stand up and walk and the energy is low, you can still stay active in your sofa and do a lot of things. So that's why I think it's good to share, you know, even personal experiences to give hope to people, you know, and nothing is impossible. It just, you decide. I mean, it was the first time ever in my life, but I'm very happy that I took it in a positive way. I didn't give up and that's it, it's finished.
Yes, and that's indeed, I think, a very good takeaway to share that don't give in. Don't give in to defeat. There is hope. There is ways to solve issues, and you know, ask for help maybe as well, to activate your surrounding, and ask for support as well from your loved ones to be when you need it as well.
Yeah. That helps as well. Very good point, Simon. I think my family was there. My friends flew from France. One of my friends came over twice, stayed 2 weeks, and that also mentally of great help, that you see the people who love you and they care about you, they prepare to do this extra mile for you. And that's important. Yeah, that's a very good point. So for that, I never forget the people who were there, of course, my wife, my children, and my close friends, my family, of course. I had to flew and I recovered and go back because the whole family back, you know, in Tunisia, I have still brother and sister. They were really worried, so they felt much better when they saw me and recovered 100%.
Yeah. Thankfully, you recovered, and it's important that you also share that that's possible, and that, you know, although you can go through a difficult time, you can also come stronger out of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. What have been some of your most beautiful moments in your journey, either through business or through life?
Look, actually, many beautiful moments I had in my lifetime. But I will share with you a few, you know, that, you know, I have enjoyed and embraced and celebrated. And, you know, first of all is my wedding day. This is with my best half, which is my partner. In 1976, I was after having my bachelor degree in physics, and I was still a student. So she was with me on the journey all the way while we were students to today. So success goes to her, because she made a lot of sacrifices while I was very busy, and particularly in my time in Syria, I was working, I'm not exaggerating, 14 to 16 hours a day. But it was a very successful outcome. I think in the industry, the company what achieved between 1988 and 1992 was world standards. We created innovative approaches in developing fields and so on. But yeah, at a cost, but she was there. So that's then, of course, the graduation day as a petroleum engineer in 1978, after having my master's degree in physics. That was really a life milestone of my academic achievements. And looking forward to move into the world of the professional world. So that was really something important for me. And then it goes without saying is the birth of my children and my grandchildren. Mm-hmm. This is essentially is unique because they secure the continuity of the family, children and grandchildren. When I mentioned about Syria, I think it was quite an achievement in Syria when we made the milestone of 400,000 barrels per day at El Furat Petroleum Company, of which I have been directly involved in the development of 25 oil and gas fields. I mean, small, but to reach, when I arrived in Syria, we were at 60,000 barrels. So getting to 400,000 was, I think, a world record, not just what we have done. When you look at all the innovation, all the hard work and the creativity put in all that to get to that level is something not only to celebrate, but to be proud of. And I think most of my colleagues, who some of them still active, some have retired, we were at the same time there. They will tell you that was the attic of our technical professional expertise was Syria, 98, 92. Then, in October 1992, I was 39, and I had the first engagement with the ADNOC top leadership, the CAO and his Team A, and I was leading a delegation from Shell of senior experts. So it was very, very special because first time they see somebody from a major company, relatively young, and engaging with the best-in-class experts. At that time, we were talking and presenting and sharing the technology challenges of Royal Dutch Shell of October 1992. So that was something stayed stick in my memory, and I will never forget it. Also, the reason from a Shell point of view and company point of view, they trusted me and they asked me to lead people much senior than me in terms of level and so on, but I was responsible for the Shell interest. At that time, I was regional business advisor. I had Egypt and Abu Dhabi. So that's quite unique. They expose you and they trust you. So, so that's one of the things I keep remembering. And then in my time as regional vice president is the signing of the gas to liquid contract, which is the best, not only the best, the biggest gas to liquid contract in the world of multi-billion dollar. That was in 2004. So that is a great milestone, which I was part of the team. Of course, anything is done is a teamwork. There is nothing done by an individual in anything. Then I told you about the deal I lost and so on, but I didn't give up. So I worked tirelessly to secure a 25-year extension contract of the biggest gas processing joint venture company in 2009. So I lost 2007. I secured, and I was the cornerstone for making it happen. And I was very happy that was achieved before I retired from Shell in March 2010. So that was, the signing was in March 2009. So that was something for me where I said, okay, I'm not living as a loser. I'm moving on, as a champion. So you, as you said, up, down, you lose, you win, but that's the but also, as I mentioned early on, I had the privilege to meet first time His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan as at the time the Crown Prince, when I was introduced by Malcolm taking over the helmet of Shell in Abu Dhabi. And of course, I had several opportunities to meet and engage, even after I left Shell. I think Abu Dhabi have been supportive when I was doing my mission in Dubai, for the interest of the UAE. So so those are unique moments. The other one I cannot miss not to mention, you have mentioned early on, is basically building the Supreme Council of Energy in terms of governance structure and delivering the 2030 integrated energy strategy of Dubai. I think that was, for me, something that I felt proud, and with my team that we delivered that. And then as a result, that was in 2011, in 2012, we made, phenomenal achievements of $250 million in energy saving in 2012. So those are the things I wanted. And then I had also the privilege and the honor and the opportunity to meet Sheikh Mohammed Barash Al Maktoum. He was our leader as Dubai. Of course, he was, and he is the UAE Vice President, Prime Minister, and also the ruler of Dubai, by explaining what we have achieved and while building the Supreme Council of Energy. And the last one, I cannot miss to say, is the graduation of my dear son from INSEAD on his executive MBA in December 2021. So those are basically, there is many others in terms of engagement, as we said in the beginning, with kings and leaders and so on, but just wanted to share the things who are relevant to the region for our listeners and viewers, and also which for me will stay. And one day when I will write my memoirs, they may be mentioned in those memoirs as part of my life journey.
These are beautiful moments and really like such a variety of different experiences and parts of your life that you shared with us. And what would you like to be remembered of, or what would you like to be that people say when they mention your name, or what would your legacy be like if you reflect back, or if you look back at your life?
Look, I would like to be remembered for being faithful to my principle and core values. Victor Hugo said, like the tree that does not change its roots, and that's where it's very important to sustain that during the lifelong journey. I know it's very challenging, and it's becoming more and more, but I think it pays out in the medium longer run. May not in the short term. It may phase out, but I did that. I tell you one thing, when I engaged with leaders first time, to position the company and listen to them, first of all, I don't talk about how good the company I worked for. It doesn't need to. It's a company over a century and so on, unless they ask questions. So I don't go to sell. I go to inquire, to understand. So one of the common questions I used to ask senior leader, decision makers of countries, what makes you awake at night? What are the things that are challenges for you, issues, whatever? So you listen, and then next time when I go back and I say, look, we might be able to help. There is options to go and address your issues, your challenges. Never say, for example, it should be this way or that way. It's not, because at the end of the day, the sovereign country have to decide what is best, and they are in a better position to know what is best for them. So you give them options. And that's how, as a VP for new business development, we got much closer to, national oil company leaders, minister of energy of countries, where you show interest in them, not coming to talk about how good you are. And then at the end of the day, you go for a win-win, I mean, one of the advice always, I say, look, we are all smart. Don't go in for winning, having a winner and a loser. It doesn't work in the long run. Go in for a win-win. So develop a strategy, a win-win. Try to understand the other party, what are they looking at, what they consider is a win for them. It doesn't have to be the same. Doesn't mean win-win is exactly the same requirement. You as a private company and the other side is a government, is a state. So it's a different dimension, different commitment and different deliveries. But the deliveries are different. So you have to find out to meet for a win-win. So that's why building relationship and trust is key, because you need people to open up to you. That to open up, they have to trust you first.
Yeah.
That you are genuine. When you talk to them, you're not acting. You're yourself. So as we said in the beginning, if you stump and make a mistake, it doesn't matter. They know you're genuine, and they know as well you're not perfect. And as we said in the beginning, we're not perfect. But we aspire to be perfect. But perfection is for God.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I think sometimes we forget that as well, that we get caught up in the moment or get caught up in life and looking back at your core values and understanding that you're not perfect and you're just a human.
Yeah.
That's very important. And Nejib, is there something that we have not discussed yet, or I have not asked you, or you have not shared that you would like to bring up to end this podcast with?
While we were talking, I thought people talk about COP28 today.
Yeah.
And I think I want to share with the listener and the viewers, I have developed with my team, working for Royal Dutch Shell as regional vice president, a vision for CO2 EUR for the whole Gulf region. Because all the power plants are on the Gulf side, for water desalination and generating energy. So the CO2 idea was to capture it, compress it, and transport it to be injected in oil reservoirs. At that time, we did a scouting study, and we came up with fields above 1 billion barrel oil in place. It was about 100 billion barrel carrot to get additional recovery. But of course, to make that happen, you need a political will, transnational political will. So a lot of effort has been done. I know now, I'm talking about 20 years later, and the whole world is mobilized because we do realize the impact on climate change and the global warming or what have you. But I hope we reach a point where we will see real commitment in investments, and then not waiting for that investment to make a short-term return on that investment, because you will not make a short-term return. It's a medium-longer term. And yeah, I've been really with my team driving. We talked to the highest level ministers in the region, presented at the IDPEC by the Shell leader in 2006, IDPEC 2006, the whole entire vision and so on. But I must mention, there is one leader and one country which I shared with him the vision in Raisva in February 2006, before I moved as chairman and managing director. And he was brilliant in capturing the idea and start to work on it. He was the leader of Masdar CAO, and I will say later on who he is. And in March 2007, there was the vision of the UAE articulated and by Sheikh Khalifa, God bless his soul, the president of the UAE and the ruler of Abu Dhabi. This is March 2007. We got it in 2006, March 2007, that UAE will develop an infrastructure for capturing CO2, compressing it, and injecting it in the oil reservoir. This has happened in Abu Dhabi. And that leader moved on to Mubadala, and now he's the corporate CAO or director general of ADNOC. And that's His Excellency Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber. He made that happen. So, you know, I have a lot of respect for what he achieves, not just now, but what he has achieved on his journey since I met him in 2005 as a project manager of developing and putting on the ground the Masdar, city, the Masdar power, the Masdar CO2 carbon, the Masdar Fund Tech, the Masdar Institute, all that blueprint under, of course, the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. Actually, Masdar, I remember I was there in launching, it was in April 2006 in the Emirates Palace when they announced the Masdar company. So I thought this needs to be mentioned because the whole entire world is focused on COP28 and all the environmental issues and the CO2 emissions and what have you.
Yeah, that's an excellent point to make and to end this with. And there is definitely possibility to make a change. You just need to grab the ideas that exist and implement them. And then over a period of time, you can see a lot of impact and change.
It takes time, but never give up.
Yeah. Nejib, it was lovely and so great to have you here.
Thank you.
To share your vision, your thoughts, your life with me and with the viewers. So I really want to thank you for taking your time and for coming here.
You're welcome, Simon. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
That was it. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.